think we're all set. Hopefully you can see on our screen a PowerPoint. We will be recording the session, so if you have a question, and right now you've been put on mute, but if you have a question, feel free to use the chat box. My name is MAJ HIGA. I work in Career Services, and we're very grateful today to have Sergeant Kenneth Collins here with us at the United States Army, and he'll be running us through some wonderful information. And feel free to use the chat box if you have any questions, and we'll go ahead and get started here. So thank you.
Sorry to interrupt you. And again, I'm Sergeant Ken Collins, direct representative from the Army Medical Department, more specifically for the clinical psychology and mental health aspects of everything. Today I'm going to go ahead and go over some of the, actually all of the program options that we have available inside the United States Army for clinical psychology. So a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Nova Scotia, Canada, and decided to join the Army back when I was going to University of Florida. I've been a Ranger medic for the last 6 years, and I've been doing mental health recruiting for about a year and a half now. So at any time during this conversation, if any of you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to go ahead and write it, and I can stop and pause and kind of caveat and answer your questions as best as possible. If I do not know the answer, please feel free to leave your contact information, and then I can go ahead and find out the answer and get back to you as soon as possible. But we'll go ahead and start. So this is some of the things that we'll be going over today, some of the topics. The 1-year and 2-year HPSP, or Health Profession Scholarship Program, Clinical Psychology Internship Program, and Residency Program as well. So HPSP, or the Health Profession Scholarship Program, the Army offers both 1- and 2-year scholarship opportunities for PsyD, PhD. And just as long as your school is APA accredited, or as long as it's APA accredited, you already meet that standard. All right, so going over the HPSP, pays 100% of tuition, books, supplies, most fees associated with going to school here. It will not cover your downtown parking in Chicago. In itself is probably a second mortgage. But it will provide you with a stipend. The stipend amount that is listed on this slide is not correct. It's going to be $2,178.90. Typically goes to the cost of living every year between $20 and $30, and that is re-released in July. Okay. It will pay for your testing that you'll have to take in your 3rd year and all that stuff. And then most importantly, going back to the last slide, is that there is a concession into the internship program. So while it is not promised, you still have to work, still have to get your dissertation and everything else done. They are looking at you, if you are awarded a 1- or 2-year scholarship, they are looking at you at that point to go into our internship and then follow on to our postdoc. So our internship programs, they have updated. If you want the most updated rotations and everything that the internships will offer, feel free to go ahead and shoot me an email, and then I can send you the actual site information to where you can see upcoming rotations and the rotations that they've done this year and rotations that they have done historically at these separate sites. But inside of the slide deck that we will cover in a little bit, we'll go over some of the historic ones that they were offering last year. Like I said, probably change a little bit, but you'll be able to see pretty much what you'll be studying at separate locations. So we have 5 separate locations. We have the most out of any other branch because of our population, and all of which are accredited for 7 years, APA accredited for 7 years, and have been accredited since 1950. Also about our internship, you will not be receiving the kind of internship pay that all of you would kind of assume. You're not going to get the $20,000, $30,000. You're going to get paid as a captain inside the United States Army, and what you're seeing in front of you right now are some of the estimates. It does vary a little bit between last year and this year with the cost of living. BEH may have gone up, or basic allowance for housing and basic allowance for subsistence or food may have shifted a little bit. But another good thing is, too, is that both the basic allowance for housing and the basic allowance for subsistence are non-tax, or they're not taxed. So that's just, if you don't spend $2,300 a month for your house, the rest is just yours to play with. I pay $900 for my place, and I get $2,200. So that's just cash and happy checks. But your base pay is taxed. That is the only part of your income that is taxed. And when you get licensed, you will be receiving licensure pay on top of that. That is also as well taxed. So total monthly salary for your internship, you're looking at between $70,000 to $80,000 as opposed to $20,000 to $30,000. That in itself, the internship and all of these programs are extremely competitive. But the internship in itself is a highly sought after program, since our accreditation is one of the best inside the nation. So some of the benefits: you'll receive 100% health, dental insurance, vision. Receive 30 days of annual leave. Even when you're inside internship and your postdoc, you're still going to receive 30 days of paid time off. Right? That is a big difference from the 10 days that you will probably receive when you're going through your internship at a local, one of the local community sites. Continuing education, in-house fellowships are available. These, typically the in-house fellowships will come up after you have completed your licensure and postdoc and all of your rotation hours. But there are instances where, you know, if you're really what we call inside the Army high speed, then they could be applicable. Be a member of the Army family. So that is huge. Even walking here into the building today, I met 2 soldiers. Everybody inside the Army family, soldiers, your spornets, everybody helps out everybody. So if you, while you're at internship or while you're at postdoc, if you really want to see the orthopedics area, or if you want to float over to the center of the Interpreter here in San Antonio, Texas, they're going to allow you that opportunity to see what kind of treatment these soldiers are going through, so you can kind of enhance your counseling depending upon what their treatment actually is. Oh no, it's okay. So going over the sites real quick. Lewis, since I have well, just about an hour and a half outside of Seattle, Washington. It's a beautiful campus. There's a lot to really offer. 275 Ranger Battalion is there. You may see some of those soldiers as well. But those special operations community, there are separate clinical psychologists for them. But you may be able to kind of talk to some of our special operations clinical psychologists, see if that would be another option later on. Internship accredited for 7 years. These dates are pretty accurate for accreditation. Not due again until 2018. Trauma Center, that's another big thing too. You're not going to just see soldiers and their families and vets. You're also going to see the local populace. Most of these facilities that you'll be going to are going to be trauma level 1 facilities. So you're going to see the local populace, especially at Tripler. Tripler in Honolulu, we'll go over that in a little bit. The site at the bottom, if you want these slides, that will tell you what the updated rotations look like. Okay? But historically, the rotations have been 6 months of behavioral health clinic, primary care consultation for about 2 months. Neuro, all of our sites are huge into neuro. If you want to be more competitive and you really want to, you know, be inside the Army as a clinical psychologist, you have to have somewhat of a neuro base, because all of these sites are going to ask you about neuro. Trainee selected electives, so you can really just kind of mold some of these systems and some of these internships how you would like to practice, or fields that you find more interesting. So Tripler, it is the only hospital available on Honolulu. It's trauma level 1 facility. It sees Air Force, Navy, vets, local populace, family members, sees everyone. We call it the big Pepto building, because big and pink. I don't know who picked the color. But Tripler, located in Honolulu, Hawaii, I think that says about enough about the area. Is very diverse. You're going to have everybody. Is the Pacific hub for medical purposes. So you'll see soldiers coming over from South Korea, Japan, Okinawa, Australia. They will, if they need ongoing care, they're going to come to this facility. All right. Again, the link on the bottom for the rotations. But typically, there are 3-4 month rotations. Adult rotation is mandatory, and then you kind of get to pick and choose what you want to do after that between neuro, child psych, which has come back within the recent year, and health psychology, community psychology as well. Sometimes you can double up on your rotations, but that's really going to be up to the program director at the time. Let you guys go ahead and leave that for a second. All right. Brooke Army Medical Center, also known as SAMC, changed the name a little bit because we invited the Air Force and the Navy to come join the party. This is the hub for Army medicine. So you can kind of see relatively how big it is. Not really. If you were to add, or if you were to look at the merchant market, you could probably fit 2 merchant markets within this facility. It is huge. It's a huge parking area that you can't see over to the right. Trauma center, research, off campus. If you were to zone out completely, this entire medical campus is about 2 miles total. Located in San Antonio, Texas, home of the Alamo and the Riverwalk. They are still accredited. All of our sites are accredited. Level 1 trauma facility. The Center of the Intrepid is there, which is the center for soldiers to learn how to adapt to their prosthetics. So it's an amazing opportunity. When you're there, you'll do a rotation through that facility. The biggest thing that I like about that facility is that they have a wakeboard area, and the soldiers that are going through treatment there are just completely motivated, want to go back out there, want to be back with their Army family or their team. And I tell you what, it's just a huge motivator if you ever get the opportunity to go there. Also, pour millions of dollars into this facility, all of these facilities. We have the Army owns 2 out of 3 dome systems. So anybody who ever watched X-Men, you know, I sound like a nerd right now, but you know how Doc goes and, or the professor goes into this huge dome, and then he hooks up, and then he can see all the other mutants out there. Well, kind of the same thing, not with mutants. However, the soldiers who are going through therapy will receive prosthetics. These prosthetics will go into the dome, and how they react to certain environments that the dome creates will adjust the prosthetics accordingly to driving, to walking through the woods, to walking over a hilly path. So it's just really amazing stuff that they're doing at this facility. 3 mandatory rotations. So campus, behavioral health, neuro, again. 4th rotation, get to choose from child adolescents. And again, if you look on the last slide, this will provide the most up-to-date information possible for the rotations. So, oh, and evidence-based treatment and rotations concerning PTSD, traumatic brain injury, nightmares, panic disorders. Eisenhower is also the major hub for all of our commo guides and secret squirrel stuff. So it's a pretty good base to be at. It's down in Augusta, Georgia. Amazing golfing is available. That's the only thing I really like. But they do offer amazing rotations. And we'll go to that in a little bit. Yeah, signal quarters down there, sorry. So some of the rotations is going to be more military, Army-specific internship. All right, so you're going to have adult assessment, health psychology, military psychology, warrior transition battalion, also like wounded warrior stuff. Warrior transition battalion are those soldiers who do not meet medical qualifications to stay inside the Army anymore. However, they are going to receive care and treatment, and they are not allowed to get out of the Army until they have completed all their treatment. The VA system was set up because of the overwhelming amount of vets that would come back and still have problems, still have medical issues. This, the Warrior Transition Battalion, the Army's not doing that anymore. We're trying to help our own before they go out and before they transition into their civilian. And we also have transition services for those individuals as well. Outpatient behavioral health spans the entire year. Crisis intervention, you'll be giving slideshow presentations on sexual harassment and assault programs, suicide prevention, and also working with some of the research psychologists in that aspect as well. Again, if you look at the bottom, updated information for their rotations. Walter Reed in Bethesda, Maryland. We actually tore down the old building, took over the Navy's campus, and yeah, there's a funny thing. So everybody at Walter Reed will actually watch the Army-Navy game. The dining facility is decorated for whoever wins that game. So we haven't had any decorations up there since like 1999. But so it's a fun campus. We have fun with the Navy, and just it's an amazing facility. So it says Bethesda, longest standing APA accreditation since APA was pretty much founded, 1958. Large military medical center. It's a trauma level 1 facility. It's the first place that soldiers are seen after they have received stabilized care from returning from Iraq, Afghanistan. So typically what will happen is that a soldier gets injured in Iraq, Afghanistan, or any kind of war or epidemic that were going on at the time, go to stabilizing medical facility, probably like Longstool, and then after that, be sent back to the States. This all happens within a week and a half, 2 weeks, so it's pretty expedited. Core rotations, out of everything here, it's neuro. Walter Reed is the home of neuro. If you want to go to Walter Reed, you need to have an amazing neuro basis. Next, what to expect? Clinical psychologists and medical officers inside the Army do not go to basic do not go to basic training. All right, they go to a much nicer, calmer, gentler version of basic training, where the person isn't yelling at you and has issues. You go to Basic Officer Leadership School, of course. This course is tailored for our medical officers, showing you how to act like an officer, walk and talk like an officer, how to salute, how to wear your uniform properly, stuff like that. So 12-month internship at your site, 12-month postdoc, right after your internship, which is also APA accredited for 7 years, and then duty assignment after that. The typical timeline for your 4th year, if you were to be selected for the internship, is that you would leave this facility. The Army would move you, which the Army moves everything. So if you pack a box, they will unpack your box, repack it, take inventory, and then they move everything for you. You don't have to do anything. They will even pack your trash, come to find out from my last one. So 3 weeks later, I still have my trash, thank goodness. Then you'll go to your internship site. So it'll give you like an orientation, show you your bosses, give you the history of the facility, show you where you should live, where you shouldn't, where you should go, where you shouldn't go, all the good stuff. You'll have a sponsor with you the entire time too. Somebody who you can reach out to who will really show you like, this is how it's going to go. And more than likely it's going to be one of the postdocs. So one of the postdocs will then in turn tell you what to expect. So what your director is like, what your director plans on doing, their attitudes. So it really sets you up for success. At this going through internship, Army's already invested a lot into you, and they want to make sure that their investment is a great investment. All right. So after your internship, after you go through the orientation, everything at your internship, about mid-July, you'll go to the basic officer leadership course. You'll go through 10 weeks, but they kind of split it up. It's about 6 weeks. 6 weeks now, and then you'll do internet training as well. Kind of caveat off of it. And then after that, you'll go back to your internship site, and then you will start your internship. And then you will stay at your internship site for your postdoc. Not a whole lot of moving after that.
Is that the one you want?
Oh, yeah, sorry. All right. So after internship, go to postdoc. After postdoc is where the assignments will vary, okay? Nobody will ever get, and this is a huge misconception, nobody's ever going to get stationed inside of Iraq for 3 years. It doesn't happen. You're going to get stationed in Germany, overseas maybe, but not inside of a war zone. You're not going to, it's a huge, widely mistaken. We get stationed inside of a facility, a clinic, either inside the continental United States or one of our host countries. So Italy, Vicenza, Japan, Germany, Honolulu, Alaska. And then if there were rotations, you could go on them. However, it depends on the unit that you're with, when the unit will deploy, and so on and so forth. I will let you know in advance that there are a lot of clinical psychologists that are in right now that joined at the height of all of the operations and everything else. And they did that in order to go over there, to serve and to be embedded with these units and be overseas. So the actual market is flooded. So I'm not sure how it will look like by the time that you guys go through internship and postdoc. You can't do anything. But by the time 3-4 years down the road from now, it may lighten up a little bit, and you may have the opportunity to do that. But a lot of our docs right now, for instance, Major Higa, sorry she couldn't be here today, still going through quarantine. God rest her. She went to Operation Universal Assistance to help out with the Ebola. She is a clinical psychologist, but she is dealing with the trauma and all the mental anguish and hardship that both the civilian populace has endured and leaders within inside the community. So that's what she did. She went for 6 months, and she has volunteered for all 3 of her tours. So rotations vary. That's 6-9 months. Depends on, really depends on you and the needs at the time. Clinical psychology residency speaks for itself. Usually how the postdoc will go is that at the beginning of your postdoc, internship is not aggressive. You're not, everybody's there to help out and, look out for each other and really, come together. Postdoc, completely separate. What's going to happen is that your director is going to put a nice little list up in front of his office. That list is going to have all these really cool places that if you're a single soldier, that you are going to want to go. And then he's going to tell all of his postdocs that whoever finishes first gets to choose. And then everyone tries to go out and get licensed. All right? Internship or postdoc is allowed for 1 year. You do have 1 year for your postdoc. However, a lot of our postdocs, since they have, done this system, will finish it in about 6 months. We'll work over rotations, and we'll, put themselves out there a little bit more because they want Longstool, or they want Vicenza, they want Japan. Some of them want to move closer to home, like Arkansas or wherever else, or Texas. So they'll do that if that's up on the list. No additional obligations. So we're going to go over those are the fellowships. Some of them have changed a little bit. They are talking about bringing back the PEDS rotation. Forensic psychology, that's an amazing fellowship. I was able to talk to the director of that. But all of our fellowships, of course, are accredited as well. And the only one that isn't up there is our pharmacy fellowship. So our clinical psychologists can write scripts. Licensure does depend after, like when they do go out to the civilian populace, does depend on the whatever state they move to. So Illinois, while they are talking about it, talking about it for like 10 years, but like places like Kentucky, they are able to write scripts and so on and so forth. So next. So different jobs that are available. Every avenue of the Army is really available to our clinicians. Everything from dealing with recruiters on a regular basis, talking about how bad traffic was, how much anguish I'm going through coming downtown, to combat stress control, to being in charge of a facility. Some of our clinicians could actually be in charge of a major medical facility. It is available, and that's because of our rating. Because by the time that you take over a facility, or if you were to take over a facility, you're going to be a little bit up there. However, clinics, it does happen. Sometimes you go to a clinic where it's just 3 people, and the person who's in charge has been there for 4 years. So there are opportunities like that. Special operations. We talked a little bit about before, but just every avenue within special operations has their own clinicians, to include SEER School, all of our schools. SEER School, though, more specifically Survive, Escape, or Evasion. But that school, actually, their program is written and assisted by clinical psychologists. Some of the more twisted ones, in my opinion, but they come up with how to make the school better. But that school essentially makes or lets the soldier who's going through that training experience what it is to be a POW and how to get away from an enemy. So a lot of our pilots, the Air Force will go through this, a lot of Ranger guys, a lot of frontline individuals will go through this school. Besides that, Ranger Regiment, Special Operations Aviation Regiment, or SOAR, talking to the pilots. Pilots have to be checked off by the clinician before they can take off. Special Operations Warfare Center, and also any POWs that come back, for instance, like Rudolph, will always have a clinical psychologist and a special operations clinical psychologist assigned to them before interviews or investigations and everything else, just to ensure that they're fine mentally in order to proceed with their POW process. Program director to work at USHUS, the Uniform Services University and Health and Sciences facility down in DC. And like I said, recruiting command. How to apply? Well, you would apply through myself in my office. But there are certain guidelines. So the guidelines are, you must be a U.S. citizen. You must be, in order for the Health Profession Scholarship Program, you must be under the age of 35. Going into internship, if you're applying for the internship program, you must be under the age of 41. It's 41 now. Meet physical, mental, moral, legal aspects and qualifications. And all of these programs that I've discussed today, all of them, you will incur a 3-year contractual obligation. So if you take a 2-year scholarship, after your postdoc, your contractual obligation would be 3 years. If you just take the postdoc, your contractual obligation would be 3 years. So it makes it a little bit easier. Does anybody have any questions? Okay.
Sergeant, I'm currently a First Lieutenant Military Intelligence Officer. I'm in the MA Forensic Psychology Program at CDC. I'm planning to apply for the Clinical ID at GRE since I already have attended OBC for MI Core when I go through the Medical Core OBC.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't, ma'am. Yeah, you wouldn't. That would be able to transfer over. They wouldn't make you go through bowling. And your OBC would be more than sufficient change for both of them.
Dr. Morrison wants to ask a question on.
Well, we're waiting for the question though. Just really quick, this is a great program. You do have.
Sergeant Collins?
Oh.
Go ahead, Dr. Morrison.
Hey, Sergeant Collins. This is Dr. Morrison. I just want to thank you for taking the time to explain the Army. I've served 23 years in the Army, and I just want to say thank you, brother, for presenting this information. I had one question in terms of working with civil affairs units and the psychologists that may be deployed to some of those areas, and what their relationships with maybe some of the non-government organizations in support of any patients in theater.
For our clinical psychologists, as far as I know, which is extremely limited on that, and NATO, are you more specific NATO aspects, sir?
No, I'm thinking the civil affairs units. You were talking a lot about the special ops.
Oh, okay. You know what, sir? I do not know the answer to that question. But if you shoot me an email, I can put you in contact with a special operations clinical psychologist.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, he's inside of the special operations. I keep forgetting his name. Him and his wife have different names. His wife, Major Parker, is in charge of Walter Reed for their internship program. And I know that he is inside the special operations community as a clinical psychologist as well. So I will find out the answer to that. Just please put it inside an email, and then that way I can forward it to him, and then you could talk directly to him concerning that.
Thanks again, brother. Appreciate you coming.
No problem. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. That's another thing, too, inside the Army, everyone's brother and sister. Yeah, we have a good time. Yeah, so another thing really quick, too, like I was saying briefly before, it is extremely competitive. The 2-year health profession scholarship program, there was only 3 spots last year. There were 60 people that applied nationwide. All right. Now, in that aspect, my office, we did have one that was selected. However, I would say that I started off initially with 45 applicants just for a 2-year health profession scholarship program. Through the processing and everything, and then through telephone interviews, we only had 6 that actually went through the board. So that kind of gives you an aspect as to the numbers and just the high quality of soldiers that we're looking for. Now for internship, I will let you know that you're interested, if you are interested in internship in 1 year, they are going to ask you in your telephone interview. They're going to say why you want to join. They're going to ask you some really hard questions. But the key factor that I have seen is that if you know what your dissertation is, if you are ahead of your peers in your dissertation, it dramatically enhances your selection. So, and I know this facility is really good about that. But dissertation makes you more competitive. If you walk in at a 2-year or attempting to get a 2-year health profession scholarship opportunity, they're still going to ask you about dissertation. They know that you probably have no idea what you're going to do. However, they want to make sure that you have some sort of idea, that you know who your possible future chair is going to be, and that you're working well towards that. Because our interns, we do not want them to worry about their dissertation or their community, there's a new name for it. We want you to focus strictly on your rotations and not have to worry about anything else. That, and also we don't want you to have to keep up and communicate and correspond and do all that fun stuff back with your dissertation chair or your committee. So that would make you more competitive. Focus besides that, if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to ask me right now, or if you don't want to ask me right now, my contact information is back at the very beginning. My contact information is here. Any questions about medical, feel free to reach out to me. Anything that is discussed with myself stays between me and you. And if you are interested in this program, make sure that you get in contact with me as soon as possible. May, June, into July is when I will start calling individuals, setting up interviews, so on and so forth. And right now there are already about 30 individuals. So to ensure that I can actually get to you and help you out and provide you with accurate information, please contact me as soon as possible. Additionally,
just a quick question. So if there are some interest, somebody who's about to start a program in their first year or their second year, they can thank you for scholarship.
So you would apply for a 2-year scholarship, you would apply in your second year. For a 1-year scholarship, you would apply in your third year. That's way, so if you apply in your second year, we'll pay for a third and fourth. Apply in your third year, it'll pay for the fourth year. And then internship, you'll apply at the beginning of your fourth year. Or, transitioning from your third year. It's all up to you.
And you will, and they will contact you, right? Or
yes.
whomever is in the...
Oh, yeah, depending upon what year you'll be in. I will be in the Chicago area until about April of next year. So I will be the recruiter for this last year. And then we'll do a proper handover, and there will be somebody else. If you are about to start school, or if you're about to start school, or if you know anybody who's about to start school, like I said, the Navy does offer, the Navy does offer a 3-year health profession scholarship program that does assess, from my understanding, does assess the same way that we do into the internship. If you want any information upon their program, I would highly encourage it. Both myself and the Navy, each and one Ramirez, we work great together. He's a corpsman, I'm a medic, so we kind of go back and forth a little bit. Just as long as he knows that Ranger's better than Marine. But besides that, I will always pass your information on to him, and anybody who knows of anybody who is interested in a 3-year Navy HPSP, please make sure you let them know. It is just as competitive as the Army, and this will not only set you up for success, because if worst case scenario, you're not selected. The next year, what we do is that we will actually, and it's up to the student at the time, we will recycle your packet and your physical and all your other stuff. So then I will have it. You can start working for the Army, a 2-year HPSP, and then that way you don't have to redo all the security clearance and all the paperwork and all the physical stuff. And then that way you can just kind of go from there. It takes a lot of burden off of the student. So, any questions about the Navy or Army? Very limited on the Navy stuff. I know they have pretty solid football. So I've been told. But no. All right.
So one thing that I know you've mentioned in the past is that for folks, sometimes the application process is so overwhelming, that you've been your office is there to support people so that they realize that you look at it and people kind of shut down. However, they work with you.
They work with me. I'll let you know that as motivated as you are is as motivated as I am. I will do everything in my power, and my office will do everything in its power to make sure that your packet is golden, that you are the most competitive individual up there. I will let you know that our office, and give myself a little POD or pat on back, half of the interns that are currently going through internship are from my office. Half of the HPSP 2 years, or a third because there was only 3 spots, are from my office. And 2 out of the 5 1-year scholarships are also from my office. So we know what we're doing. We're here to assist you. And unlike other recruiters that, the persona of recruiters, we're not going to force you. This is an amazing opportunity. If you want it, then you'll contact us. we're here to facilitate you and to make sure that you're motivated. It's very competitive, but we, with our combined efforts, we make an extremely competitive application. Any other questions? Well, I know that one student is going to internship for her first round pick this year, and I won't say her name, but yeah, she is extremely competitive, and yeah, she got her first round pick, and she was extremely happy about that. There's only one person who wanted to go to Honolulu. It blows my mind. Like, everyone else is like, I want to go to Texas, or I want to go to Walter Reed, or I want to go to Georgia. I'm like, why? Go to Honolulu. But, each of them. But, no, in this facility, and the staff, and your professors, educators, everyone here is really setting you up for success. Ensure that you're, not a lot of campuses, not a lot of programs really enforce the dissertation or as much as this is. So just work with them. We'll work with you in the school, and hopefully next year all the balls. Sure. Yeah. I think I skimmed over that time. My slides are fast. This is actually really important information. So the board is in January. Okay. So we will meet up if you are interested in doing from July to December 1st. The application, the physical takes forever. Everything needs to be done. Everything needs to be polished and go through our quality checks and everything else. So between mid-July, which I wish I could work the package earlier, however, because of my leadership and our battalion and certain legal aspects, we are not allowed to start your processing until July. But we can start in July, and I know I have been able to process a packet in as little as 20 days. But that was because the individual was extremely motivated. She got me the paperwork, everything on time. Whenever I had a question or whenever I needed a last-minute signature, she was there. The Army, Navy, Air Force, military as a whole is a hurry up and wait. You can hurry up, get your packet done. That way, we just have to wait for the brutal wait. So the board convened right around mid-January, historically speaking. It was January 13th this year. Last year, I think it was like January 10th. But they will meet, and 2 weeks out of that, they will typically release, 2 to 3 weeks, they'll release the names for the two-year HPSP recipient, and then another about a week and a half, 2 weeks after that, they'll release the 1 years, and then at the same time as match, they will release the list for internships and postdocs for the people who will be receiving that. So, like I said, better to hurry up and wait. Then not make the board and not make the deadline, which is why there was a lot of people who didn't go to the board this year, because the week out they finally decided that they wanted to do it. You do not have to decide when you meet me if you want to do this or not. You don't. You can get selected. You can go through the entire process, and you can choose not to do this. And I won't force you. I'm not a salesman at all. I'm really bad at lying. So if you get through the entire process, you don't want to do this, I'd rather you say that, and then that way we can have somebody else fill that slot who wants it, rather than having a clinical psychologist who is like intimate with our soldiers in that aspect, who doesn't want to do it.
I missed. For postdoc, when should people apply?
Postdoc people should apply at the same time.
Okay.
So all of these, so internship, postdoc, scholarship, everyone should apply in July, and reach out to me really as soon as possible. Internship, or sorry, the scholarships, they're gonna call you up. They're gonna and do an in-depth phone or Skype interview with an actual clinical psychologist or one of the directors at these facilities. They're going to interview you. They're going to write down their notes. They're going to say if you're highly, or there's four rankings. So there's is the best qualified, is among the best qualified, highly qualified, not qualified. Yeah, something right around there. But there's four different fields. And this happened with about 5 people last year. If you are not the best qualified, or if you aren't 1 or 2, then we have to stop the process. And why we stop the process is so we can build a more competitive package, so you understand how is kind of questions that they're going to ask, and then that way we can go ahead and set you up for the next year. That's another reason why I implore everyone to apply for the Navy as well, because this will give you an aspect, because the Navy is also going to interview you, and they're also going to ask you around the same questions, just a different uniform. Same kind of professional, just a different uniform. They're going to ask you the same hard questions. That way you kind of know what's going to happen in the later years. And that's why we caveat on each other. But yeah, so July, postdoc, internship, everybody. So with a postdoc and for direct, so somebody who's already a clinical psychologist, we only recruit for the Army Reserves. You can only join the Army Reserves as a clinical psychologist coming in directly. Because a lot of our clinicians are getting paid more than they're getting paid in the civilian sector. You know, unless you open up a private practice, Dr. Phil or something. But for the most part, they're making more money. And they have just so much free range. They can do or go or change up their job, you know how great they are and how much they do, reflects their careers. And a lot of our clinicians will stay in 20-plus years.
Person has another question. If you can talk about the timeline between application approval to officer training.
Okay, for internship, because when you're inside of your, when you take a scholarship for 1 or 2 years, you're not going to do your basic officer leadership course until you actually assess into the internship program. So how soon after you get your application approved? So your 4th year, when you're transitioning between, and you graduate from this facility, all your stuff is done, 2 months out, about a month and a half, 2 months out, you're going to receive orders. Orders inside the Army are, don't need to do it. I got orders. They're like, how would you like to go to Chicago? I live in Tampa, Florida. And I was like, not really. They said, no, you don't understand. So you receive orders. They want to make you happy more so than me. So, they're investing a lot for you guys. So you'll know about it about a month and a half out. If you graduate from this campus May 1st, somewhere around that, you will not be leaving this area until June timeframe. Historically speaking, all right, you have to finish your school before you can move. That is what the baseline is. Most facilities and most programs are going to be done the first couple of weeks of June. So after you're done with that, then you will move. And you will also communicate with your director, your sponsor at your facility, and then they, as well as a non-commissioned officer who's in charge of your training aspect, who sets you up for your actual class, at that time you would go. So between leaving this facility and actually going to basic officer leadership course, we're looking at about a month and a half. All right. None of the time during your internship or your postdoc, like I said previously, is part of your contractual obligation. All right. That is for you. So if you take the internship, or you take the postdoc, or you take the HPSP, regardless, you will not start your contractual obligation until after you are done with postdoc. If you finish it early, it starts early. Finish it at a year, it starts after that. Any more questions from anybody? All right. Well, thank you for your time today. Please feel free free to reach out to me at any time, like I said. If you want to know more about the Army department or more about specifics, like I said, if I don't know it, I will find somebody to let you know. Or if you just have really good jokes. Any of the above, all right? Thank you very much for your time today, everyone.